So let's say that we are a credit card company that is looking to partner with more merchants to accept our credit card. So we have 100,000 small businesses that we can reach out to, that we have leads for, but we only have the manpower to reach out to, let's say, around 1,000 of them. So how would you build a strategy to find the best businesses to reach out to?
So usually, like, we would look at a couple of things when we are deciding like which merchants we want to prioritize. So the first thing is the response rate, that like which businesses are more likely to respond or like take up on our offer. So let's say like there is a business which we have like 5% chance that like if we reach out to them, they'll become they'll partner with us. And then there is another business which has like a 1% chance. So given like if everything else is the same, we would want to go after the business where we have a 5% chance of partnering with. So that is the first thing we consider, the response rate. And the second thing which we consider is the lifetime value of the business. So
Okay.
again, like going back to the example which I just said. So let's say now there's a 5% business with a 5% chance, and then there's a business with a like a 1% chance of partnering with us. But let's say like
Mhm.
the annual revenue of business with 5% chance is $100,000, and
Mhm.
the annual revenue of the business with 1% chance is like $1 million. Then we might want to go after the business where even though like we have 1% chance, but if we acquire, like there is a huge lifetime value difference in those two businesses. So these are like the two things we consider, and usually it can be like a metric created using like both of these factors, the response rate and the lifetime value, which takes in both of these factors and then like gives value that like where like you have like more value in going after the business.
Okay.
So yeah.
That makes sense. So if we started out with the response rate, I guess one question I have is like, how do you know which one will give you like a 5% chance of closing versus a 1% chance of closing?
Yeah, so that's a good question. So the way we do it is usually like lookalike modeling. So we already have data of people we have reached out in the past and how they have responded. So we can create a lookalike model. Let's say like we can create like a logistic regression model or a decision tree for those businesses, and like we try to predict like what is the probability that if we reach out to that business, it will partner with us. And so we can build a logistic regression. Now some of the features in the model can be what industry the business is in, what location or zip the business is in, what is the size of the business. Let's say that it's a company with like two people and then that much business going on, so like the size of the business, the annual revenue of the business. So I'll just write these things down. So it can be
Okay.
like industry, zip or location, number of employees, or like which is a proxy for size, annual revenue. So yeah, like these can be like some of the features which we can take, and using our like existing data of potential businesses which we have reached out in the past, we can create a lookalike modeling. And then for the new 100,000 businesses, we can try to predict, given like these features for a particular business, what is the probability that the business will partner with us. So that is how we can get like response rates.
Okay. Cool. And so let's say that we implement this model, right? And we have the LTV, I'm guessing a model for that as well based on historical data,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
And so we implement it. Then how do we kind of start measuring our success of what's happening in the strategy? Like people start calling them, people start cold emailing them. How do we iterate on that?
So let's say now like we have models for both. We have models for the lifetime value and we have models for response rates. And then let's say we are looking at the product of these two. That if there is a 5% chance and the lifetime value is 100,000, then we can create a compound matrix which like we multiply both of these. So 5% times 100,000 is like 5,000. So that
Hmm.
is the value for one particular business. And let's say like we have that kind of a number for all the businesses. Now in order to see whether our strategy is working or not, we can again do like something similar to like an A/B testing. We
Hmm.
can, let's say we split our like universe of 100,000 businesses into two groups, one with like like one with, let's say, like 90 or 95,000 businesses in one group, where we go based on our, like, the metric, the compound metric which we have created, that whoever is the top like 1,000 in that group, we go after that, and then in the remaining 5,000 we just start going after randomly,
Gotcha.
and then we see in two groups like what the success looks like. So that is like one way we can validate whether like our strategy is working or not.
Okay. So kind of just creating like two separate groups and then looking at the difference in the control versus like our new strategy, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But I think one thing that I've noticed, practically speaking, is that like the sales cycle kind of takes a long time with maybe outreach, right? And so getting feedback on this might take a bit of time. Is there any way that we could speed up feedback so that we know that within like, let's say even like the first 7 days that we need to adjust our strategy or something like that? Like what if our model is kind of like our response rate is suddenly a lot lower than we predicted, and then like the closing rate after we jump in with them is a lot higher or maybe a lot lower? Do we kind of adjust going forward, or I guess kind of like then implementation step or kind of adjustment step that needs to be done after that, just to get a quicker feedback, instead of like kind of waiting until like all 1,000 sales are kind of closed and then we kind of compare it.
I mean, we can start with like a smaller sample size. We can like have, let's say, 500 businesses where we are like targeting using our like strategy, and then we have like 50 other businesses where we are just going randomly. Like, obviously, like this 550, like that, those numbers will have to come up in a way that the change which we see is like statistically significant. But like we can start with a smaller sample size. We don't have to like implement the whole strategy on the 100,000 businesses, but something which we can cover in like, let's say, like a couple of weeks, and
Gotcha.
that way we can see that how effective our strategy is,
Okay,
you on
cool.
a, like a smaller sample.
Yeah. And then I guess lastly, no, I think that's actually it. So I guess to review this question, I know you have like more experience with this one. So like I guess kind of like what did you think about the question overall? And how do you feel like it applies to like, the actual interview or like the real life job even?
I mean, like, actually, it's like a very good question. It's a practical problem across all industries that companies have like limited marketing budgets. Like, they don't have infinite marketing budgets. If they had, like, they would want to go after like each potential prospect in like the best way, but
Yeah,
they always have limitations. So it always comes down to that, okay, like whether I should reach out to like this person or this person. And the way to decide is usually at a lot of places, like people will just look at like lifetime value, but we also have to like keep in mind that like response rate is also like one of the factors. Like lifetime value is like not the only thing. So it's like it's a problem which is like common across like all different industries, all different businesses. It's a good question to ask, actually.
that's good. Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
Um, Cool. That was great. Thanks, Mitul. Thanks again for jumping on and doing this.